What is up, family? Fikru here. It has been 2.5 months now since I got my transplant. This is kind of what it's looking like. I think I mentioned on one of the other videos that I had begun shaving the rest of my hair to make it look a little even. It looks kind of imbalanced, when I allow the rest of my head to grow in thick, the donor area to grow in thick, and not the transplanted area. So you guys can see a little better when I cover the lights. That there is growth that you can see here. There is some development. You can see hairs that are growing in. It's still not as thick as obviously the donor area. It's only been 2.5 months, but we do see that there is growth that's coming in there. Let me turn off this light so maybe you can see a little better. Yeah, so there is some growth, but there's still some lightness here. And then lightness here as well. It's not as, it's just light. It's less dense, in the donor area. And this is where I got my surgery. Really, the focus was the recession. I think I was in Norwood 3. So it was receded here, and basically they brought it up here, and then they also added density all the way through. So I think they did some additions here. They put some grafts here, and then they really focused heavily on this. So you can see the hairline is starting to come in. It's again been 2.5 months. You see the box is coming in as well. So progress there. I'm just gonna record me dermarolling and also applying this just for anybody that would be interested in taking a look at it. They gave us this dermaroller and the serum. That was a part of actually something that we purchased post-operation. They gave us this, and they also gave us some other things with, shampoos. They gave us some other serums to be using the first few weeks, the first couple months. So this is what they gave to us. This is what I'm going to be using to apply, really just kind of open up some holes so that the serum can really take effect and be as effective as possible. So, I just kind of wanted to show you this process. So you, if you are interested in potentially kind of going through the procedure, obviously this is the easiest part of the process, right? I think the hardest part is the day of the surgery. Many people probably wonder, and I was really wondering, how bad is it? You hear a lot about, the pain being excruciating, the pain being the worst pain I've ever felt in my life, and and some people say it wasn't actually that bad. Some people are like, oh, this wasn't a terrible experience. People overblew it. And obviously different people have different pain tolerances. And so it kind of just depends on your pain tolerance. I feel like my pain tolerance isn't terrible, but I will say it hurt. It was not a fun process, the anesthesia that they gave to us. Obviously, it was the hardest part. That was the thing that hurt the most. After the anesthesia kicks in, you don't really feel much during the surgery process. But it's not a painless process. You hear some videos are like, oh, it's painless, this and that. But those needles, man, they were something. And they, the first maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, they were, kind of giving us the local anesthetic. And to be honest, my people I don't think they did a great job, because I feel like they missed some places. So when they were doing the extraction of the hair follicles on the donor area, I could still feel certain areas where they were digging in and taking, and so I had to let them know, hey, I can still feel this. So they continued to apply anesthetic, and I had to kind of come to a place where I was like, do I kind of G it out and have to deal with the pain of them taking the hair, or do I want the anesthetic? And if I want the anesthetic, then that's going to hurt as well, and that oftentimes hurt more than them taking the hair. So that was difficult. But after that, the first few days actually were pretty bad. And I know you guys have probably watched the videos on just the process, how to sleep, and all that stuff that I posted. But that was really most of kind of the first 2 weeks was like, hey, you got to be really careful because you don't want to accidentally rub your your grafts to come out or something like that. So yeah, now it's really pretty easy. Kind of just treat it like normal. Hats, I first season I actually wore hats a good amount for maybe after a month, for about a month, but especially because it's cold outside. I did it during the winter, which is good because sunlight's not going to hit it, it's not going to damage it, but also, man, it's really cold, and so I wore a lot of hats. And different people have different opinions about that, but the doctors did say that it was safe to wear hats at that point in time. So, but yeah, really, I treat it like normal. There are recommendations not to wash your hair with super hot water. Some people say use distilled water to wash your hair. It's better for your hair, becoming more thick and all of that stuff. I'll be honest, I don't do that. People have also told me, hey, it might be a good idea. Obviously they gave us these serums to use, and I feel like I lack consistency a lot in that. And I don't know. I don't think I'm suffering because of it. I think the hair's, growing in. I'm in a group chat with the other guys that I went with, and we all feel like we're kind of in a similar situation. I think I could do better at applying the serums, being consistent with that. I would recommend doing that. I think that's helpful in the process, but overall, I'm still pretty happy with the results. I think the first couple of weeks is really where you got to be on top of things, and then it becomes less and less vital, right? It's not that it's not important, but it's less important than when you're initially getting it done. So, yeah, I feel like things are growing. I'm excited for month 3. They say that month 3 is a really good month to begin to see growth. Month 4 is really good, and then obviously up until 6 months, you see a good amount of growth there in the first 6 months. So I'm excited for this to fill in a little better. Again, you can see kind of just where it's at right now. Some hairs, but the density's not there, not where we want it. And so there's still some growth to be seen, but it's a process, right? It takes time. Once we finish dermarolling, we want to sanitize that. So we have some sanitizer that we use for that. And we just use this. I've never used this cap. I don't know if it... Okay, yeah. So they say use the whole thing. They say once you use the first half, they give you this cap to use for the second half. And they say refrigerate it. So I'm going to apply this to the whole top of my head because I had some grafts put in at the top as well. And I'll go back and roll the top part. I feel like I missed some of that, so I'll go back and do that as well. But right now, I feel like there's pretty good progress. I feel like I'm seeing the first couple months. In terms of fear of people finding out, I think some people are more cognizant, think about that more, care about that more than others. I'm sorry if never mind. Honestly, man, I've got this again. 2.5 months ago, I walk outside, I see people with this hair, and they just think I cut my hair short. You know what I mean? I used to have really long hair, and they're like, "Oh, something's different about you," and they think I just cut my hair short. And so, if you're nervous, about getting a hair transplant because people are gonna know. I think people will definitely know if you're bald. That's one thing, but if you're reasonable with the guideline, right, with where you put your hairline, if you're not super aggressive with it, which a lot of the doctors don't recommend we go super low, right? People probably won't even notice unless you're making a YouTube video on it. And then also, just in addition to that, man, if you feel really insecure about it, if you have the funds for it, who cares what people think? Who cares what people think? If it's gonna help your confidence and make you feel better, look better, then go for it, man. So, that's kind of the process. I still have a good amount of this left, so maybe I'll let this
cool off a little bit, dry off, and then I'll apply a second or a third kind of coat. Again, I said I'm gonna do some more of this on top and maybe apply some more, let it dry off. But yeah, it's kind of the process. It's not super difficult, not hard to do. It takes a little bit of time, once every 2 weeks. So really not that bad. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Yeah, and appreciate you guys watching. That's it.